Oh wow, my morning hair is awesome. Okay, so really nice night. There are some other people in the area. This is right by an official campsite, so there's a privy, 0.2 ahead. But there are enough campsites where I was able to spread out and not be right on top of each other, and it was nice and quiet, and I could hear the waves down below at the lake, so all good. Yesterday was a little frustrating. I came down off Bigelow and I just didn't make near as good a time as I want. I do have to be careful of my knees. My knees are not always the best, and going downhill tends to be a lot worse. So if you get something like the south side of Moosilauke, I can climb that all day. It's nice, steady. You're just on leg muscles, and my leg muscles will shut up and do what they're told, because otherwise I'm going to make them walk back to Key West. But the downhill, especially the really steep ones where you've got to, lower yourself down, basically. I just have to watch it. Just about every time I mention I'm tired, somebody will pipe up and say, oh, maybe you have Lyme disease, and who knows, maybe I do. Don't have a lot of the other symptoms, and you just got to remember, when you're doing a really long hike like this, you just get run down over time. You feel tired, you don't want to hike, it gets hard to get out of the tent. Pretty views and making accomplishments does help that. It kind of like helps you rally, but it's just a fact of life. There's a lot of people out here that I've run into that are really struggling because our mileages are all down due to, the steep ups and downs, and people are just feeling beat up. And it's not uncommon for people to be walking wounded late in a hike. Lots of knee braces, ankle braces, stuff like that. So I am hoping my mileage is going to be able to get back up into more reasonable territory. My plan today is to just get as close to Kennebec as possible. That way, when the crossing opens in the morning at 9 a.m., I'll go right across, go into Sterling, grab my packages, and probably get a hotel in just Nero. I think they have rooms at Sterling Inn that are halfway decent, get some food, etc., resupply, and then set out for Monson and just try and make best time. At this point, I am going to be a little behind my ideal. I was hoping to be at Katahdin end of August / early September, and it's going to be early September. I would have always preferred to be going a little faster than I am, but I'd also prefer to have, better knees, hair that behaved a little better, be, 15 years younger, all that. So last night when I stopped, my shoes and socks had been wet for most of the day just due to, ongoing weather, etc. And when I took them off, not only were the bottom of my feet pruny, but for, I actually don't know how many times it's occurred, the side of my foot was exceedingly itchy in the pruny section. I assume that's basically the start of, trench foot or something. Itch it, it doesn't get any better. I actually put a bit of a scrape on the side of my foot inadvertently, and that's hurting this morning. I may have to try and tape that up. I actually know one person behind who claims to be having trench foot jungle rot issues. Says basically it's like walking on glass now. Supposedly, if you dry your feet out every night, and you have at least, I think, 8 hours dry, it's supposed to help. But I guess the problem out here is with it being so humid, it's kind of more of a challenge to get those feet dry. Mine, at least, is all better this morning, other than that little sore I scraped. This has been relatively nice. Lake hopping. Big lakes, too. Taters and I actually did a portage route up in Canada, and we decided portage is actually a French word for bullshit. Fun trip, though. Oh, this is going so much smoother. Now, if I just didn't have that whole Kennebec River crossing blocking my way, I could make some good miles today. Well, this feels weird. It's 1 o'clock and I've done 12 miles, just kind of like strolling along. There don't seem to be a whole lot of people in the area. There's, a few singles and a few pairs here and there. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so I'm here at 2040.7, where there is a site just big enough for a tent, and probably a few options back there if you are really desperate. Kind of bummed to have to stop this early. I'd much rather be over the river and in a room or something, or pushing on, but oh well, after this it should be a clear run at Monson and then 100 Mile Wilderness. Home sweet home for the night. Okay, nice night, couple cups of coffee, and now down to the ferry and into the Sterling Inn. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited at the prospect of real food, and I could definitely use the rest, but I'm still really just want to push on and, you know, get into 100-mile wilderness and onto Katahdin. Also, one of the big advantages of solo hiking, I smell just goddamn awesome after about, 7 days of rain and sweat and everything else. But it's way easier to take your own stench than, your lovely hiking partner. So if you're wondering why I'm still wearing the gloves, for whatever reason, these straps have just been doing a number on my hand. The gloves help a bit, though the thumb's starting to wear down on the ones I have, so I'm starting to get abrasions there again. I have never had this issue with I don't know how many set of hiking poles, so I'm not sure if it's just the steepness and how I'm hiking out here, or if it has something to do with these ergo corks specifically. So there's always highs and lows during a hike. And for whatever reason, for the last week or so, I've just really been struggling. The weather obviously did not help, and I've just been feeling drained. I'm not sure if I just didn't have enough hearty food through here and that's making me tired, or if it's just that point in the hike, or if it's the fact that everybody keeps talking about how they're almost done, and I'm probably not almost done, but I could be. I mean, it's hard enough to deal with the end of a hike, and mine, there's a decent chance of basically getting the rug yanked out from under me if I get to the border and, a day or two before they're like, yeah, we're not letting anybody else in. Boom, I'm done with no warning. The scenery and the quality of hiking really has improved the last day or two. So I'd kind of hope that that would perk me up a bit, but I've still been really dragging at the end of the day. So we'll see. I also haven't had that much in the way of breaks with all the harder hiking. So as much as I am really inclined to push on, I'm going to stay at the Sterling Inn tonight and see if that helps. If you're curious why I'm so down on hostels and shelters and the like, when obviously I like talking, basically I'm one of those oddballs that's a outgoing introvert, really like chatting with people, really like meeting people, but at the end of the day, or when I'm really tired, I just want someplace quiet to basically recharge. That's why my preference out here has been for, hotels and everything where I can close the door and just crash for a while. Also, hostels with the bunks are just, I can't breathe in those, way too crowded. I've been living outdoors too long. Okay, so here's that river that they say, please do not ford. I guess I can see why. Okay, it is 9 o'clock and we are watching them carry the boat down and waiting for them to come get us.
What's the closest metropolitan?
Naples?
Okay. Yeah.
It's way down south.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, later start than I'd like, but back at CARATUNK and onwards towards Monson, 40 some miles. Okay, so after yesterday being in the low 90s, it is significantly cooler today. This was my last mail drop until after Katahdin, due to how the timing works. I'm basically going to be buying food in Monson, buying food at Able Bridge, and then I have to get 45 miles over the far side of Katahdin for my next resupply after that. So I'm probably going to be a little heavy climbing that mountain. So not only do I have a food box that was filled with all the food that I really like versus, whatever I can get, but I was able to get new underwear finally, new gaiters, replace the liner in my pack since that was getting some holes and letting water through here and there. And I also replaced the op sack that I'm using as a food bag. So I'm probably going to swap that out for one of those Z-Packs DCF stuff sacks. So I have DCF stuff sacks for my sleeping bag and my clothes. And even though I have the liner for my pack, even if you have a waterproof pack, even if you have a rain cover, water still makes its way in eventually if you're out long enough and if it rains hard enough. So those have been actually well worth the money. Hopefully they last for a while because, like I said, damn expensive. Okay, I don't know if bees are not a fan of me or they are just offended by my new gaiters or something. I just got stung twice out of nowhere. Didn't even see a nest. Just all of a sudden it's like, ow! Okay, so fun times. I was walking along and I get stung by 2 bees. There's one and the other's on my ankle. No problem, I've had that before, they just hurt. And now I am getting like full body itchiness, so I'm just hanging out just in case the reaction gets any worse so I can head back down the hill. I don't have any allergic reaction to bee stings normally. I don't know what these were, but always freaking something, you know? I'm actually walking back towards Sterling because I'm not sure if you can see, but I've actually got hives and red marks on a lot of different places here. Took some Benadryl that I got from another hiker, but this is the sort of reaction I want to be careful of. I don't have a history of having reactions like this to bee stings, so this is a little bit concerning and better to be closer to help in case, you know, my throat starts to swell up. So I have to recertify for wilderness first aid every couple of years. I'm actually scheduled to do my next one in December. Probably be the 5th time I've done a 3-day wilderness first aid class. And I am fine helping other people. I am fine canceling trips. I'm fine jumping in to help others. I really hate making calls like that on myself though. Okay, so what happened yesterday? Basically, I had breakfast, I left, I went a bit down the trail, ended up stung by 2 wasps of some sort. I only got to see them really briefly. Started to get itching all over, got the red marks, backed off into town to just be cautious. I mean, my lips were swelling and I was starting to feel like maybe I was getting involvement in my throat. Got back to the hostel and decided to get a room, wait it out, and they could get me to the ER if things got worse. I'd taken 2 Benadryl, so basically the moment I got into the room, I got in bed, I pass out for a couple of hours. Wake up, take the 4:30 shuttle over to the pub. I figure everything's good. Benadryl should be out of my system. Help myself to a plate of nachos, some macaroni and cheese, and a very light beer. And all of a sudden, maybe an hour later, I start sweating, like cold sweats, and my face starts feeling funny, and I realize I'm about to pass out. I literally laid down on the floor of the pub, had to flag down the waiter and go, hey, just FYI, bee sting, yada yada. No idea what's going on. So I ended up getting a ride back here to the hostel, going to bed. Now it's the following morning. I don't know. Is it over? Am I going to have further reactions here? As a kid, I used to like throw things at bees' nests, run away, get stung, go screaming to my mother, oh, Mom, I've died. She'd put like baking soda on it. And then like 10 minutes later, I'd be back out throwing things at the bees again. I've gotten stung. I know I got stung on the PCT. I'm pretty sure I've been stung on the AT too. Never had a reaction like this, so this is kind of unknown territory for me. I have wilderness first aid training, so I know the protocols for this stuff. I will get an EpiPen when I can, but that's not really an option. I'm up here in CARATUNK. My plan is to just, assuming I don't like hit the floor here in the next hour or two, get moving and just try and push on to Monson.